Angels, it's Hailey Reese and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited that you are here and I hope that you are having an absolutely fantastic morning, afternoon, or night, whatever it is for you when this video finally reaches you. And I also want to say that I am sending you, as always, so much love, light, healing, and positive energy, despite how spooky today's video may be. Today we are diving into yet another eerie, unsettling, and terrifying experience / encounter to do with a sleepover that left one girl absolutely terrified in the moment, but another terrified and traumatized for life. Before we get into today's story though, just a quick moment to thank today's video sponsor. I would just very quickly like to thank today's video sponsor, Toodaloo. Something that I find really important when looking for new snacks to fall in love with is that I want snacks that not only fill me up, but are also good for me and good for the planet. Toodaloo is a ridiculously tasty cosmic trail mix with functional benefits, such as supporting gut health, focus, energy, and skin. Not only is Toodaloo a healthy, flavorful snack that leaves you wanting more, but there are over 30 thoughtfully sourced superfoods across the 5 flavors. Toodaloo is also non-GMO, gluten-free, grain-free, and plant-based, with no processed sugars, and is carbon conscious. Better yet, if you don't agree that Toodaloo is the most delicious trail mix you've ever had, they will refund you. I honestly love all of the flavors, but my personal favorite is the Toodaloo Smoke Show, which is like a barbecue mix. It is so delicious. And there are 42 grams of plant-based protein per bag. It's also low in carbs, supports energy, and holistic balance. You guys can click the link down below to receive $5 off of your first order of ridiculously tasty Toodaloo. And don't forget, they will regenerate 100 square feet of polluted farmland with every order. So make sure you guys click the link down below to get $5 off of your first order. And thank you so much to Toodaloo for sponsoring this video. And without further ado, let's get into today's terrifying story. So this story begins with a young girl by the name of Serenity. Now, Serenity grew up in a town that she didn't describe as small, but more so connected. A lot of people knew one another, or at least knew of one another, in the sense that, like, if you saw someone, they were a familiar face, even if you didn't know their backstory, where they exactly lived, and their names. Everyone knew one another, especially the children in the area. They all kind of lived in more so remote, secluded areas of this town or city. She didn't specify, but the kids all went to the same school. So no matter how long or short the bus route was for these kids, the kids all went to the same school because it was the only school in this area. Serenity grew up with parents that she described as like tame hippies. Those are her words, not mine. And the way that she elaborated on this was that, like, when she reads up on what hippies are stereotypically known as, her parents didn't do all of those things, but they really embodied this carefree spirit. They were all about love and supporting one another and just having nothing but love for life and everyone around them. They lived a very carefree, loving, empowering lifestyle. And that's how she was raised from the moment that she was born. She was raised to live outside the box, be eccentric and herself, that's who she was, and to just embody what it meant to be Serenity. So when a new girl showed up at school and she wasn't quite as accepted, Serenity noticed this very quickly. She noticed the distance between the new girl and the rest of her peers at her school. She recognized that she wasn't being welcomed with open arms. So after that first day of meeting the new girl, she went home and told her parents this. And her parents basically explained that not everyone is as inclusive as they are, and that perhaps because so many of these kids have just grown up together, like I said, there was one school in the area that they all pretty much attended, even if it was like a widespread area from what I was interpreting. There was only that one school, so it may have been different for them to see somebody new, and they encouraged Serenity to make friends with the new girl. Very quickly, Serenity would get to know Mina and realize that Mina was different and had a different energy than anyone that she'd ever really met in her life. Mina explained that pretty much everyone that her family was close to had passed away, so her parents decided it was a good time to just move away, as they didn't really have any ties anywhere else, which I mean does make sense. But Serenity was used to positive energy and was a little bit taken aback when Mina right away started talking about death. Supposedly she went into like all the different ways that everyone that she cared about had died, and how her family was like, well, now we can just go because they'll always be with us and we don't have to stay in a certain place. And I guess her family had always wanted to be out in nature, near a body of water, near a forest, and somewhere that they could really just be themselves. Even though it was a little bit dark for a first time conversation, Serenity recalls not feeling put off by it and actually spending her time that she could talking to her and trying to get to know Mina and seeing what Mina was all about. But quickly, the other kids at school would over time have conversations with Mina and realize that Mina talked a lot about death and a lot about her deceased family members. So Serenity went home one day to tell her parents that it was awkward to be the only one who wanted to hang around Mina because everyone associated Mina with death. Like everyone was like, all she talks about is death, her deceased loved ones, and her journey to moving here. So a lot of the kids didn't want to play with Mina. Serenity's parents told her, you know what, maybe she suffered some traumas. You should really encourage her to have other experiences. You know, you guys hang out, have fun. Maybe she'll start to get a zest and a love for life back after having suffered so much loss and trauma. So Serenity continued on becoming Mina's pretty much only friend in school. Serenity and Mina did become friends at school, and while they weren't really hanging out outside of school, Serenity did notice that Mina wasn't talking like so much about death or anything of that nature and was coming into herself. So she started to feel more and more comfortable being friends with Mina. And very quickly, Mina's birthday rolled around where she would ask Serenity if she wanted to come over for a sleepover at her house. Now, Serenity said that her parents didn't necessarily seem uncomfortable for her to go to Mina's house. They were just people and wanted to make sure that they knew Mina's parents, exactly where Mina lived, and kind of like vibed out the situation before just saying see you later to Serenity. So they did exactly that. They came into Mina's house for a cup of tea, and while her parents came off as like a little bit antisocial and a little bit uncomfortable that Serenity's parents were there, they seemed like really sweet people. They had a cute little house, and they could see that Mina absolutely adored Serenity, so they ended up feeling comfortable leaving Serenity for a sleepover. Serenity said the beginning of the sleepover was just a little bit awkward because Mina's parents were nothing like hers. They were very withdrawn. They always seemed preoccupied is actually how oh my gosh, can I speak? They actually seemed preoccupied was how she described it. And they were spending a lot of time in a particular room in the house. They would come in and out like to make the girls dinner and like to do a little bit of yard work, but they were spending a lot of time in one room in the house. Besides this, Serenity said that it was an overall good experience at the house. Like she was having a pretty good sleepover and actually almost felt guilty despite being young for having prejudged Mina. Like the two of them were starting to have so much fun together. That night, as the two girls were getting ready to go to sleep, they were just having little conversations as we all do. I specifically remember like my sleepovers when I was younger with my friends. The best part was like either A, trying to stay awake all night, which never really happened, at least not for me, and B, like just like having good conversations with your friends. Like even if they were silly, it was like you guys would be trying to pretend that you're sleeping and having conversations. And I guess it was a similar energy for Serenity and Mina. And that's when Mina finally almost hit a turning point with Serenity. Serenity describes Mina sitting up in the bed and looking over at her with the saddest look on her face, thanking her for coming for the sleepover and for being her friend. Serenity, like I said, being raised as like being a people person, was like, of course, like, you're such a good friend. Like, I'm so grateful for our friendship. And that's when Mina said that she was the only friend she has ever felt comfortable having over for a sleepover or has ever invited because of her parents' secrets. Now, immediately, Serenity was like, what do you mean, your parents' secret? And that's when Mina started tearing up. She asked Serenity if she remembered how when they first met, she told her that a lot of her family members and loved ones had passed away, and that's why they were able to move. To which Serenity, slightly uncomfortable, said, yeah, like, I do remember this. Mina said that every single time someone close to them or a family member passed away, a new doll-like mannequin would come into the family home, into a specific room, and that they had grown almost a collection of family members. Now, Serenity had never heard of anything like this and almost thought that Mina was making it up. It sounded like some sort of creepy bedtime story. It didn't really make sense, but she did note that Mina had a really sad demeanor about her. So Serenity just asked her, like, what do you mean? And that's when she said, I can't explain, I can show you. And the two of them proceeded to tiptoe out of Mina's room to walk into the room that Mina's parents had been spending a lot of time in. Serenity described this room as eerily cold and uncomfortable, but like all eyes were on you. She described that there was around 7 to 12 almost mannequin-like dolls that all were wearing very unique and specific outfits. And she claimed that they all had big eyes and were in rows. Now, when she asked Mina, like, what is this? Mina just said, it's just what we get when somebody passes away. It's what we do to honor them. When I get older, my parents will allow me to honor them as well. Now, I guess the two of them went back to their room, and the entire night, Serenity couldn't sleep because she didn't really feel like she'd gotten any sort of answers from it. In the morning, she once again asked Mina, what is the purpose of that room, pretty much? Like, why do you have all these tall doll mannequins? And Mina just said, it's my family members. Serenity kind of thought that Mina was messing with her or was just being strange, but that morning when she would have breakfast with the family before being picked up by her parents, she noticed that they had a gallery wall of sorts in the hallway that had real pictures of people who were dressed in a similar manner to all of those mannequins. Like, the outfits matched up, although they were real people and not mannequins. And I do have to note, because I don't know how to explain it as I haven't seen it, but that she said they were mannequin-style dolls. So let me know in the comment section what you think that would look like, because I can't really visualize it, but I can understand if you walked into a room as a child and saw rows of mannequin dolls, and then the next day saw a gallery wall of people wearing the same outfits as the mannequin dolls. It would be creepy, but I'd love to know your interpretation of that. Serenity ended up getting picked up by her parents, went back home, never spoke of that room that she'd seen, never brought it up to anyone, and never treated Mina any differently at school. But anytime that Mina over the next year would ask her if she wanted to get together outside of school, Serenity always had a reason that she couldn't hang out with her, even if it was just solely an excuse. And a year later, Mina and her family would move once again. Serenity would not see Mina for years and years until university at a bar. Serenity was ordering a drink when she heard a girl ask, hey, are you Serenity? When Serenity turned around, there was a girl there that she didn't recognize, but the girl told her, I'm Mina. We went to school together as kids. Serenity initially didn't want to say too much. The two made small talk, but slowly that small talk turned into real conversation, and Serenity realized that Mina had grown into this incredible person that she actually enjoyed talking to. So the two of them spent quite a while just kind of catching up and talking, and that was when Mina asked her uncomfortably after a few drinks whether or not Serenity remembered their sleepover and her parents' secret. Serenity got super uncomfortable and told Mina, yeah, like barely, like kind of. I remember like dolls or something, playing down on the experience that had scared her a lot as a kid, as she didn't understand it at all, and was something that she thought about for years. Mina then proceeded to tell her that she no longer speaks to either one of her parents because as she got older, this secret turned into something very unsettling for her. Mina found out that any time a family member would pass away, her parents would take a snip of the hair of that person and make it into a wig and take the ashes of the person and put it into this mannequin-like doll and keep them in this room to honor them. As Mina had gotten older, her parents had finally told her, as they wanted her to participate, that they would perform rituals to keep the spirits of their loved ones within the room so they could talk to them, ask favors of them, and ask them questions. When Mina found this incredibly unsettling, Mina decided that it was time to move on, and her parents told her as the final thing that her life would not be fulfilling or full of prosperity or blessings because the spirits were upset she wasn't continuing family tradition. When Mina had moved out, she'd done a ton of research into different cultures and things that could make this make sense. After Mina had grown up and kind of realized, hey, I don't see anybody else that culturally or religiously does the things that my parents were doing and the symbolism that my parents had and the rituals they were performing, she started to dig deeper into things and realized that her parents may have been dabbling in something very dark, which suddenly made sense with so many things in her childhood, and that she felt like her parents were not summoning down the souls of their loved ones, but rather that dark forces were taking advantage and acting as though they were the loved ones. And when Serenity asked Mina to elaborate on it, Mina said it's better that Serenity doesn't know. Mina and Serenity caught up that night, but the two of them are no longer friends as they've just grown in different directions and went separate ways in life. But to this day, Serenity says that it is the most eerie memory of her childhood. It is something that traumatized her in the moment, and even as an adult, learning that there was something, or perhaps something darker going on, it's so unsettling to her, and she claims it was what she would describe as the sleepover from hell. That is today's story, and I would absolutely love to know what you guys think of this. I have so many questions, so I would love to know in the comment section down below what you guys think, because I love reading your comments and responding to them. It's one of my favorite things to do. And yeah, that is basically it for today's eerie story time. Once again, I would just absolutely love to thank Toodaloo for sponsoring today's video. As I mentioned, all you gotta do is click the link down in my description box and you will receive $5 off of your first order of the ridiculously tasty Toodaloo. So thank you so much to Toodaloo for sponsoring. If you guys are new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my content, I would seriously love it more than you would ever know if you go ahead and click that subscribe button, and please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you.